What's up, humans? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a little bit of a soap experiment. This is a little sketch that I drew up of a soap that I was hoping to do. It's kind of like a pyramid soap, like the pyramids of Egypt, with like a sunset going on in the background that kind of goes into what hopefully looks a little bit like space. Now, I want to start off by saying that I'm not a professional soap maker. I don't have a lot of soap making gear, nor do I have a lot of soap making experience. So these videos are going to be me kind of learning, finding my way with soap, learning what techniques work and stuff so that you guys can see that and so that I have a bit of a documentation of it for fun. But I do have melt and pour of clear and shea butter melt and pour, and they're both by Primal Elements, and I am going to heat up my melt and pour over the stove with jars in a little bit of water, and I'm using micahs, and my scent is a custom-made scent from some essential oils from P&J Trading, and they all came from the Dad's collection. But if you guys want to see how this soap ends up turning out, just keep watching. So this is the tube that I'm going to use, that I'm going to tape off the end of for my son, and I'm going to be using JD Glow Cosmetics Golden Ice and their Sun Ray pigment as well. One of these is like a nice white gold color, and the other one is a color changing flake, also in a gold color, and I thought that these two together would create a nice glowy, different textured kind of a sun. Now this is the tube when it's been taped off, and I taped it off with masking tape. Now to make sure that it gets filled properly, I'm putting it in this jar full of needles for some reason. I should have probably taken the needles out. This here is my scent that I mixed up, and there's probably, I don't know, maybe 10-20 drops of scent in this whole jar. I try to under-scent my soap rather than over-scent it so that there's no skin irritation. But that's all up to you guys. There is a specified amount of scent that you should be putting in your soap, and it's totally up to you if you want it to be super scented or slightly less scented. But mixing those up in some clear melt and pour, I'm going to pour those into my tube, and it took me 2 runs of this container and the clear melt and pour to get kind of the desired length out of my tube. And in the middle, I spritzed it with some alcohol to make sure that the 2 layers adhere together when I'm trying to get it out of the tube later. So for my pyramid, I'm gonna use red gold, bronze gold, and bronze. I'm taking bronze gold and rose gold in one container to kind of make a rosy bronzy gold, and then I'm just putting bronze in the other container. And then each of these size containers have 3 drops of the essential oil scent, and one container I'm doing totally white melt and pour, and the other one I'm putting a little bit of clear melt and pour to make it a bit darker. And so I'm pouring those both in at the same time, and then wiggling it around with my incense stick. This is my tube, and I put it in the freezer to get it to separate from the tube like that, and it comes out really easy. I did need to press it with something from the other side, but it popped out relatively easily. If you let this dry or harden at room temperature, it'll probably take a while. And then this is my pyramid lump, and I ended up doing a second run of those bronzy colors, and yeah, the bottom has bubbles in it. Great. That's not fun, but it's because it was too hard, and then I just took a knife and I cut it in 2 different directions to kind of get this triangle shape, and was separating, but it was probably a little too soft for me to cut it. Now for the sky, I'm going to use yellow, orange red, crystal ruby, as well as copper, purple, violet, golden blue, glossy blue, pure black, and aubergine. And I'm going to be mixing those in with both clear and opaque melt and pour, and I had my ground colors mixed up and I was going to put my pyramid in, but it was too long. So my ground color ended up hardening in the bottom and that wasn't fun. So here I have my ground colors again, and this is just the same bronze colors that I used for the pyramid, making sure that they're warm, dumping them in there, putting my cut pyramids in there, and I decided to go with 2 just because I could. I only had 1 on the paper, but I thought it'd be nice with 2. And then I decided to put cocoa powder in it because people say that you can, but then I decided to spritz it with alcohol, and that might have not been the best idea, but I needed the soap, my yellow soap here, my first layer of the sky, to adhere to my mountains. So that happened, the colors mixed together, and that is not very pretty, but it should be fine as long as it sticks together. Now this is my orange color mixing up with clear and opaque melt and pour, and I'm pouring that in and working on these sky layers. I am working as fast as possible. This is my crystal ruby again, and since I'm working as fast as possible and I only have 2 of these containers, I am using the containers continuously for the different micas, but since it's hardening up around the edges, it actually isn't muddling them too much. And so that was my crystal ruby. This is my copper color, and I kind of wanted to mix together my 2-tone colors together in their own little layers to kind of create a variance in the sky. And so this crystal ruby and the copper really play off each other nicely because the copper looks more purpley and the crystal ruby is so nice and red. And so I poured in some white melt and pour to kind of create some clouds in the sky. I thought that that would be cool, especially in this red layer here. And after the red layer, I went in with my violet and my purple colorants. Again, making sure to spritz the red layer with alcohol before I started mixing up my purples and after I started pouring them. But you should probably spritz before you start pouring them. But mixing those together, again, I probably could have mixed those colors together better, but I'm not too worried about it. I don't have an emulsion blender, I'm mixing it with a stick. These are really for personal use, and I'm plopping in my sun. It's important to spritz it with alcohol before you plop inlays into it, because they will not stick. And so, see, afterwards, when I'm putting on the blues, I'm spritzing it with alcohol before as well, to make sure that they adhere. And for the blues, since they're up close to the black, I used more clear melt and pour than white melt and pour. It's still a mixture because I don't want you to totally see through it, but I wanted them to be super sparkly, super glittery, like the night sky. And I also put in some more white melt and pour to be like kind of like clouds, because I love clouds. And then on top of this is our last layer of aubergine, and please spritz with alcohol. It's very important. The layers won't stick together if you don't. And then here's my pure black, which isn't really that black because you don't really get like a pure black with micas. You do need a black oxide for something like that. And for toppings, I'm using Ugly and Stardust, and these are from Uli Watercolors as her loose pigments, and using a brush that I also got from her, I'm kind of tapping this on the top, spritzing with alcohol to kind of create like a little space effect. I wanted it to look like stars in the night sky on top of the soap, because I love that. And so I thought that the little stardust and then putting in the ugly big hollow flakes in there would be really awesome. And it does. I mean, look at that. The rainbows really are showing up on the camera with these. It's so nice. So, here's the soap. It's kinda cooled off a bit, but as you can see, that cocoa powder, I really shouldn't have spritzed it with the alcohol. It made a goop. It made a goop in my soap. And my soap is probably too warm for me to be unmolding it. And it is definitely too warm for me to be cutting it, because when I cut into it, I accidentally cut off a really uneven slab. And yeah, that sucked. So I decided to just serrate off the edges so you guys can kind of see the big reveal of the soap, and then I put it down to cool off for a bit longer, and look at that. That is cool. So I made sure that that side was nice and flat, and then I started slicing it into pieces, and the goop is coming through, but the soap isn't totally falling apart, and that goop is pretty harmless as long as the soap stays together. So thank God for that. And these are so cute, guys. The hollow on the top is really shimmering, but this piece unfortunately did not make it. But that's alright. And then the goop just was gooping, dude. I didn't like it. It was really putting me off. But in the end, it turned out to not be really anything. Just next time I do that, maybe I'll pour the soap on dry. I don't know, that might make it split apart. Not sure. But these are the finished soaps, and they're adorable. I'm really happy with how the design came out and how much it looks like the drawing that I had. I wasn't sure if these layers were gonna stay together. I was actually really worried, but it's super pretty. I like all the sparkles from putting the clear melt and pour in there, the white in there, as the clouds really make like this awesome cloud space effect. I love the two tones. The sun is awesome. Oh! But the tops are great. The sun is great. When I get some more proper soap making gear, I'll get an emulsion blender and I'll be able to blend my colorants together a little bit better, and I'll be able to make bigger bars of soap. But overall, for just personal use and family, these are awesome. My favorite part is, since the sun is clear, you can shine a light right through it. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this far. If you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, like this video if you liked it, and I'll see you guys next time that I make a video.